Hi everyone, my name is Denise Meridith and I'm the instructor for TDM, PRM, SMM, Tourism, Recreation, and Sports Marketing. That's quite a mouthful, and actually it's quite an intense course that we're going to be having in the next 15 weeks. What I wanted to start out with a self-introduction. All of you will be doing the same thing this next week. I want to show you how simple it is. I'm doing this one with my iPhone. You can use your PC or your laptop and upload it. We want to get to know who you are. I always start out with a line from Steve Martin, is one of my favorite comedians, from the movie The Jerk. He starts out by saying, "I was born a poor black child." And it was made up in his case. In my case, it was. Luckily, I didn't know it was poor at the time because everyone else was as well. I was born in Canarsie, Brooklyn, and then I grew up in Queens, New York. I had pretty almost a Norman Rockwell type of upbringing, things that you don't see anymore. We had soapbox derbies, we built tree houses, we built our own little skateboards instead of buying them in the store, and I really had a good time growing up. My father was a Renaissance man. He was a musician, could play many, many different instruments. He was a carpenter, he was a photographer, he was a writer. My mother was a community activist, and so somehow those all combined to make me what I am today. I originally wanted to be a veterinarian, but unfortunately these were the bad old days here in the United States, and women really weren't allowed to be veterinarians. I didn't know that at the time. My parents were very encouraging, and so I went through all of the preparation for it. I graduated from agricultural high school. I applied for and got accepted to Cornell University, which is the best vet school, has the best vet school in the country. But when I got to Cornell as an undergraduate, I found out there was one very big barrier. They were only letting one woman a year into the vet school. And somehow, because this was a little bit before civil rights really took hold, I knew that wasn't going to be me. So I switched to wildlife biology. And this is something that may happen to you here at ASU. What happens is you discover there's a whole world of occupations out there that you didn't know anything about. So keep your eyes open, your ears open, try out a lot of different things, and you never know what might happen. I had grown up watching Wild Kingdom. I never thought you could actually get a job doing that, and I wound up doing that. My very first job was in Las Vegas, Nevada, of all things. At that time, Nevada was very rural. The strip was always there, so that was fun. But otherwise, there was not much going on in the desert out there. But I got to take care of bighorn sheep, pupfish, desert tortoise, none of which I learned anything about at Cornell. So it was sort of immersion in a whole new world, but it was a lot of fun. I went on eventually to become an environmental specialist. I did a lot of environmental impact statements, oil and gas, coal, you name it, recreation. I had a very varied background. At one point, we had a study and they didn't have a hydrologist, so I suddenly became a hydrologist for 6 months to get the study done. So I was exposed to a lot of different things, and that's what I encourage you to do in life. I worked for the Bureau of Land Management, which is the largest land management agency in the United States. It's funny, I first learned about BLM at Cornell because on Conservation 101 tests, that was always the trick question. What is the largest land management agency? And everyone would put down Forest Service or Park Service, and the answer was BLM. I happened to get that right and then wound up working for them. So it's pretty ironic. I worked for BLM most of my life. I worked in 6 different states. Believe it or not, I was the first woman professional that they ever hired. So it seems like a long time ago, but really it wasn't that long ago that women were enabled to enter the workforce. So again, as I started as a wildlife biologist, became an environmental specialist, moved into management. I worked in 6 different states. I was in Washington, D.C. twice, and I worked my way up from being the first woman professional that they hired to the top career person in the agency as the deputy director of the Bureau of Land Management in Washington, D.C. And that was during the Clinton administration. I wound up going back to Arizona, and I came here to be the state director of BLM here in Arizona. I also had part of Utah under my jurisdiction. Some of the things I accomplished here, all the national monuments, Agua Fria and the different monuments that we have here, I accomplished all those. Those were all on my watch. Under my watch also, we reintroduced the condors to Arizona, so that was quite an accomplishment. We rejuvenated bass fishing down at Lake Havasu. So I had a lot of really worthwhile accomplishments that I'm very proud of here with the Bureau of Land Management. I retired early from the federal government and wound up with my own public relations firm. And I've done a lot of things in the past 12, 14 years. I worked on the football stadium. I did all the public meetings to get the referendum approved for the football stadium, University of Phoenix Stadium. It's quite an accomplishment. I love football, so that made me very happy. I did a lot of work with the airport. People, all those restaurants that you see out there, the concessions, that's what I used to do. I used to help people get their proposals together to get those contracts. So I did that for many years. I write for newspapers. I used to write for the Business Journal, the Arizona Republic. I was with Examiner.com for many years. But really one of the most rewarding things I've ever done is teach at the college level and executive level. I've been teaching for many years for Cornell, and I'm very excited for the past few years to be teaching here at ASU. So that's me. I want to hear about you as well. Like I said, it doesn't have to be fancy. iPhone will do. And just start talking. Let us know who you are, where you were born, where you live now, what your major is, what your year is, what do you want to be when you grow up? I still am not sure I've decided that. And also what you hope to get out of this course. Look forward to meeting you.